I'm Surjit. I'm working as an assistant professor in marketing department. On behalf of Maverick, I wanted to speak something relating to marketing and strategy as a specialist in area. All of you must be aware we are offering various electives, various courses, keeping in mind the day-to-day changes happening around the industry requirements and how best we can apply the theories that we learn in our classrooms in our practical situations. Whenever we join a company as a student, when somebody passes out of this campus and joins a company, how it's going to be relevant for a day-to-day use. Now, coming to a term called Intrapreneurship, it's quite a vital term in the sense anybody who is working as an employee in an organization or even for that matter starting a company has to actually work as an entrepreneur. Now when we say an entrepreneur skill in an individual working as an employee in an organization, we normally call that guy as an intrapreneur. Now as an intrapreneur, you should always be innovative in whatever you do. Now given the set of job descriptions in which somebody works in a company, it can be any type of company. It can be an export agency, it could be an ad agency, it could be a consumer research company, it could be any kind of company. Here, different types of innovations are actually required. Now, to bring in those innovations and to add value in real sense to the company, you need to, as a student, as a practitioner of management, one needs to know various types of skills, various types of domain knowledge, and various types of application tools and techniques. Say, for example, we talk about services. Talk about services marketing. Now, services marketing, the way we have designed the content, offers mostly service quality, gaps, identification of those gaps, how to improvise the service, customer service, and various stuff like that. Say, for example, we talk about international marketing. In international marketing, we have got various types of DGFT related, Directorate General of Foreign Trade related activities, whatever they do. Regarding opportunity identification in overseas market, different ways and entries more to a foreign land, which would be actually giving more competitive advantage to a company in order to get into a foreign business market, and likewise. Now, marketing is so integrated, one cannot say just because by specializing in one area should not have an eye on the other. Marketing is quite comprehensive. So today your company, anywhere you work, may not have started an exporting, but that doesn't restrict the scope. In future, actually, the company can go and search a market in order to start an export of the product. So in that case, though your operations are at domestic front initially to begin with, it won't remain the same ever. So it might go for an expansion into a foreign land. For that, it might be required to go into a different strategy towards entry into that foreign land. There are a lot of legal complications and international marketing scenarios to be viewed. A lot of potential market opportunity analysis has to be done. And then proper strategy, international marketing strategy has to be built upon, based on which the company would develop an export market. So likewise, today whatever is the nature of the company, the size or style of the company, style of functioning of the company is not static. No, because the economy itself is too much changing, is never static. In the same way, every company in every industry also reacts to such changes, and by that process only they also keep on changing themselves. So there are certain fundamental pillars, like you cannot, as a marketing organization or as a marketing practice, you cannot do away with consumers. So consumers are there at the center always. And then there are various processes and approaches designed having a customer-centric philosophy. So talk about whatever you offer, you create a brand out of it. So initially you may not have a presence in the top league of those brands, but later on, by building trust and confidence towards your brand, you will go on increasing the value that you are trying to offer to a customer, and the customer automatically would start slowly recognizing your brand. So from a product level, you will gradually escalate to a brand level. So today, say for example, you talk about salt. Salt is a commodity, but when you say Tata Salt, it talks about quality. So it has already got a position like a brand. So we have got a courses called brand management. So we have got a courses as a forerunner course called product management. So how do you start as a product, which is quite innovative by itself? How in the entire product life cycle you take them to a stage of a brand and you develop a lot of brand equity for that particular product. Now that is something to be offered to a customer. Now you cannot offer that to a customer unless and until you have actually done a serious research on the consumer behavior. So when you have done a consumer behavior, you design your product accordingly and your marketing communications are all are in support to your promotion, then only your actual value that you are trying to offer actually reaches to the market and the market gets convinced. So it's quite a cyclic process if you see. So you start from a consumer and actually you end with the consumer. And there you actually don't end. Actually the second cycle again begins. So it goes on and on. Because lot of demographic changes are happening. Today India is recognized as the most young country in the world. So automatically the need sets are changing, the demographic profiles of the citizens, of the consumers are changing. So is the behavior of the consumers, the companies also changing. So is the nature of product also changing. And the traditional form of marketing is getting more onto a digital platform today because of the internet connectivity or the propensity of media consumption, the propensity of digital information consumption is growing at the end of the digital age consumers or say young consumers. So there is a rise of social media. There are a lot of postings are going on social media. There is an immediate and quick inflow and outflow of information happening that actually has escalated the level of difficulty at the end of the market also. So anything, a small amount of risk taken on a product or a brand actually is going to backfire on the company if it is not properly maintained. So the consumer has in fact become too much global in terms of information seeking, information or knowledge seeking, and it has become too much of local when it comes to buying a product. So to manage on your strategic front, to manage both the sides, how do you localize your product, your offering, your services, that is quite instrumental today for any company. Talk about this digital media boom which I was telling. Here it has actually made the task little more complicated, little more strategic, and quite a high amount of risk actually is involved. So companies have started appointing social media managers and all that to have an eye on what's all conversation going on regarding the brand, regarding the company. They are trying to understand the sentiment, so they call it sentiment analysis. There are a lot of sentiment analysis being done on the analytics front based on the secondary data which are all floating on the digital platforms. And based on that, companies are doing a lot of analytics stuff, and they are trying to understand the pattern of the data that is coming from a day-to-day conversations or even from a historical data for that matter. And then based on that, they are building up strategies. To be an entrepreneur, as I said, in whichever domain, whichever field, whichever company you are working, try to innovate certain things, of course within the given boundary limits of the company's job description, certainly not going beyond that. Many of the company may not recognize that as well. So being within the limits, if you can bring out something extra as a value addition to the company, definitely it is recognized in a proper manner. Marketing is too dynamic, so that's the reason I will never say that your people should live in silos. They should actually go and see what is happening in other areas as well. That gives a holistic learning, that gives a complete perspective towards a particular customer. So across industries, there are various allied industries now coming up. There are various cross functionalities are involved now in a particular domain. So love towards technology, love digital technology, digital media, whatever is happening. Love quantitative techniques, quants, and then make yourself a perfect manager. As a piece of advisory note from my side, I'll always suggest that try to see that you are an overall manager. Though you might start from marketing, but then later on when you rise to a top hierarchical position in an organization, you will not only look after marketing, along with that you have to look after finance and HR also. So in whichever way you start from a company and then you rise, so after a couple of years, say a decade or so, you will rise to a position where only one functional area will not be your lookout. In fact, it will be more than that. So the entire journey actually is the process. So that's the reason I'll say success is never a destination, it's always a journey. So keep that journey on and try to learn as much as possible, as relevant as possible in order to come off as a successful manager.